Good afternoon, everybody. I'm testing some audio here to just make sure. Working from home is definitely thrown a little bit of a curveball here in how to set everything up without my trusty office equipment. Thank you so much for attending. We are going over paperless new hire onboarding in today's mini webinar. For those of you just now joining, oh, not in the slide mode, she says. Okay, hopefully this is much better. Thank you to Candace, by the way, for always being my technical background for all of this. Anyways, is this the first, if this is the first time you're attending, we are doing mini webinars as well as our regular webinars, just to kind of help keep everybody informed on, you know, the latest and greatest at Journey, what's going on, what we're doing, what we have. We have a lot of clients that sometimes say to us, hey, I don't know if we're utilizing everything that we should be. I don't know if we're taking advantage of everything that Journey offers. And so, you know, we just wanted to make sure that throughout the year, you guys all know the things that are offered and what kind of services we have that maybe you're not taking advantage of, so that you can start taking advantage of them. I did want to mention really quickly before we get started, for any of you who have not heard from your payroll specialist or been emailing back and forth, which I know majority of you have been, but for anybody that isn't aware, we are offering our HR Now service for free. So if you are in a position right now with COVID-19 that you are trying to get some answers, figure things out, please reach out to your payroll specialist and or call the office, our main office number, and hit option 2. We'll get you right into HR Now, where you will have an HR professional that can kind of go through any questions you guys might be needing some answers or help with during all of this. So I did want to kind of start off with that bit of information before we get started here. So paperless onboarding. Anytime you bring on a new employee, this is regardless of what state you're in, anytime you onboard a new employee, we have paperless new hire onboarding. It is free to all of our clients. It's 100% secure. It's super easy. It's through your Hub account that you already have. So let's dive in, because I want to make sure that everybody does have access to this. So why use paperless onboarding? So it saves time as far as paperwork. So I tell clients, anytime you onboard new employees, give us that packet that has you know, anything you're handing to them when you onboard somebody. Give us that packet and let us make that electronic for you. The required forms are automatically in there for you. W-4, I-9, and our direct deposit form. Those are already included, so you do not have to worry about those. It is integrated with our system. So the greatest part about this is once you put in a new hire and you complete all the steps, they complete theirs and you complete yours, it goes automatically into the payroll system. So you do not have to email your payroll specialist a thing. You don't have to tell them anything. You don't have to send them anything. This automatically integrates everything together, okay? The other really nice thing, so we have clients that'll say, hey, you know, 3 years ago, I had an employee fill out this form. Do you guys happen to have a copy? We don't keep that kind of stuff on hand. We do keep on hand whatever we get access to. We scan it into our docs, but there's oftentimes forms we're not given if you're not using paperless onboarding, in which case we do not have those. So everything that you have them fill out through here is digitally stored. So you have a copy of every single piece of paperwork that they're filling out during the onboarding process, but also anything that they're updating. So if they're updating direct deposit, if they're updating their W-4, if they're updating their address, that's all stored electronically as well, which is really nice. And then an option to add WOTC, or the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. So that's something that I don't think a lot of our clients are taking advantage of like they probably should. And so there, if you don't know a whole lot on WOTC, we've got some resources on our website, but you can also, Google some information on it to figure out, who would fall into that credit, or how you would even get those credits, and what kind of workforce you need to be looking at and or that you might have. So let's kind of get it. Oh, and it's free. By the way, it's free. Paperless onboarding is free. It does not cost you a thing. It is already included. So again, if you're not taking advantage of this, you just absolutely have to. Whoops. And now, of course, I don't know how to go back. So let's get back in here. What is included? So up-to-date Form W-4. So there are times during the year that this changes quite a bit. Obviously, everybody knows 2020, the new W-4 was released, which just doesn't really provide a whole lot of information for us, but the I-9 and direct deposit. And I do want to say, Candace just told me it sounds a bit echoey. Again, I apologize if this is just a bit different. Again, I'm set up in my home office, which is much different than the regular office. So thank you for that, Candace. After completion, each employee has an employee self-service hub account. So when you guys onboard employees with us, if traditionally you've been sending in your paperwork, what we're doing is then having to send an activation out for the employees to activate their hub account. This is a window of 5 days. So we would put them in the system, 5 days they'd have to activate that account. As with everybody and anything, right? It oftentimes goes without them activating, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, I never activated that account. I need my pay stubs. So then, we have to go through resending it and or trying to get them activated on the back end. So what's really nice about paperless onboarding is that when you send them the link, so you go through the process, and there are, again, some great information on our website about this as well. But when you go through the process, you're going to fill out all the employees' basic information. You're going to put in their email, you're going to send them all the forms. Once they get that, the first thing that they do when they click on that link to fill out their paperwork is they sign up for their hub account. They're setting up their hub account essentially. So it's really nice to be able to use this for so many different reasons, but that's another great reason is that they are setting up their hub account right away. Okay, so this is that account where you guys can push out information to them. They can update information as far as the W-4 address, direct deposit, things like that. So this is that same account, which is great that they're setting it up right away. You guys then can push stuff out to them. You can, provide it to them to their hub account, and you don't have to worry about somebody not having access to it. So that's another thing that happens. Clients will, come to us and say, hey, I want to send out, I have an employee handbook I want to put in the hub. How do I get it out to everybody? Some of my employees don't have a hub account. Well, this is perfect. Using this forces them, in a sense, to have a hub account. Right now, we're seeing a huge influx in clients who are saying, hey, we've got employees that are working from home, right? Hence me doing my webinar from home today. We've got employees working from home. How do I get to them the necessary information, because they don't have access to the labor law poster, excuse me. I don't know if everybody saw the blast that we sent out earlier this week. It gives you the link that you can put into your hub account, so every work from home employee has the labor law addendum that they need to have. It's stuff like that that you can blast out in your hub accounts for your employees so that everybody has exactly what they need no matter where they are. So I think now more than ever, it is so important to have a hub account. But again, this just ties into, not having to worry about being in this situation and saying, boy, 50% of my workforce doesn't have a hub account. How do I get all this stuff out to them? This is why we push paperless onboarding and hub accounts so much. There are so many different forms, ACA forms, your own documents with merge tags. For those of you not familiar with what a merge tag is, a merge tag essentially allows us to prompt employees to sign, fill out, date, etc., the document. So when we put in custom forms for clients, like a handbook, it allows the employee to be able to fill them out, as they go, so that they're essentially fillable docs. And then they're customizable. So, let us know if you're just getting in to get your hub set up. Let us know what kind of forms you have, and we'll go through all of that for you. Adding your own docs. So oftentimes clients will say, well, okay, I've done this paperless onboarding forever, right? I know what I'm doing. I just need to make sure I add a document. You can add documents several different ways. We can get them set up initially for you for onboarding, but you can also add your own documents to your hub accounts to push out to everybody for review. So that can be done in your admin tab under documents. If you see the documents tab that's listed, this will look very familiar to your hub account. Once you have a document that you want to upload, just click on documents, choose your file, put in a description. You'll notice on the right-hand side, there is some information on what kind of priority is this, a start and end date, and a read receipt option. Priority just means, how high up on the list you want it to be. So it's not, I wouldn't get stuck in the weeds on this. I always just put anything that I put in for Journey, we always just throw in medium priority or low, depending on what it is. Start and end. So if I'm adding a document like a handbook, I don't want it to end. I want that handbook to be in there until I go in and physically remove it. So I would then put the start date and leave the end date blank. And then read receipt, if I want it to be something that is acknowledged by the employee and that I can pull a report for after the fact, then I'm going to hit read receipt. And I'm going to say yes, because that means it's going to collect those acknowledgements for me. If I say no, please remember, if you do not choose to have a read receipt and you say no, it will not collect anything, which means there's no data, there's no way of telling who's read it and who's not read it. And then one really cool thing too down here is the option to share it with the employee or keep it private. So oftentimes, sorry about that. Oftentimes we have documents that we may want to share with our employees, right? So we have documents that we may want to push out and want to make sure that they have access to it. On the flip side to that, we also might have documents we want to keep private. And if we want to keep them private because we're either documenting some behavioral issues, we're documenting some stuff that may lead to a termination, and we want to make sure that we have our eggs in a row, our ducks in a row. You'll want to make sure that you're documenting that. Keep it private. You don't want to share something like that with the employee, right? You want to make sure that those things are kept private. So again, there is that option to share it with them or keep it private. And notifying the employee of the new item, that's just an option. If you add a new handbook and you want to push out, an email ping to say, hey, you guys have a new document in the document center, you can hit yes. If not, leave it to no. And then a little bit more about WOTC. So there are groups of employees or groups of prospect hires that fall into options for tax credits. So this is something, if you have specific questions to your business, most certainly look it up, reach out to us as well, because I'd be happy to help do some research with you to figure out if you can get some opportunity for this. So it is something that has to be activated. Not every single client is activated for it, okay? So ask us if you need to be activated so that we can start figuring out if you do apply for these, or if your business applies to these credits. As far as who, we get a lot of questions around, well, what makes somebody eligible for this? So it can be things like hiring a veteran, hiring somebody that's eligible for food stamps, things like that. So there's a list, and this is why I said I didn't want to get into the weeds too much about this, but there's quite a list of what qualifies for this, and that can be found online. It can also be found by emailing me. I'd be happy to help you guys determine, whether this is something we need to turn on and have you guys be eligible for. So if you don't know, that's okay. Just reach out because we can definitely go through it together. And then Journey's FAQ page. So I always try to point this out as much as possible to people, because this is the best way to get information specific to certain things in our company. So onboarding, obviously, HR features, hub admin, where do I find things? How do I add timesheets? How do I approve? How do I add an employee specific document to the HR library? How do I edit a time card? How do I reset an access code? You will see, obviously, on here, there is a slew of information. And this is really good information for all of our clients to know. If you are specifically wanting a hub demo, we have done those in the past. We've done webinars on actually onboarding an employee. If you want to see that process, if you're not using this and you want to see if this is something you should take advantage of, reach out to me. We'll get a demo scheduled and make sure that you're set up for this. I don't know of any client that hasn't seen this feature that hasn't used it. And that's just because this is such a huge feature for people. It's such a time saver. It keeps everything electronic, and it's just awesome. So please make sure you take advantage of this if you're not already. And again, research our FAQ page. There are so many great bits of information on here that would be wonderful for everybody to have access to. So again, reach out if you're not taking advantage. And that wraps up our mini webinar today. Again, these mini webinars are designed to be quite short in length, but more so just highlighting some different things within Journey that maybe some of you don't know. So feel free, my information is on the screen there. If you have any specific questions pertaining to your company, please let me know. I'm going to look at some questions we have. Does this include personnel policies that they sign acknowledging they received it and read it? Yes, great question, Jan. It does. It most certainly does include that. And reach out to me, Jan, specifically if you want so that we can get that set up. And Jen, thank you for letting me know you could hear me. So yeah, please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions. Contact info is up there on the screen. If you call the office, they will route you back to me here at my home office on my cell phone. So we will make sure you get a hold of me one way or another. Email is the safe route just because I am checking it what I feel as 24 hours a day right now. So thank you all so much. I appreciate your time. I know time is very valuable right now. And again, if you have any questions about COVID-19, anything that's going on, specifics about your company, PPP reports, please reach out to your specialist. Those have been going out since last Thursday. So for a week now, we have been sending those out and getting ahead of that. So I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week. Stay healthy, everybody, and let us know how we can help. Thanks so much.